In the next 10 seconds, your brain is going to judge a total stranger. You won't ask permission. You won't even realize you're doing it. Picture this: a 5-star hotel lobby in Dubai. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, dozens of people moving in every direction. The elevator doors slide open. A man steps out. Plain black t-shirt, cheap sneakers, no watch, no visible jewelry. By every visual rule, he should be invisible. But he isn't. Heads turn. Conversations pause mid-sentence, and within 3 seconds, the hotel manager is sprinting across the lobby just to shake his hand. Nobody in that room knows his bank account. Nobody knows his job title. But everyone in that room feels the exact same psychological pull. This man matters. How is that possible? For 200,000 years, the human brain has been running a silent, ruthless calculation. A code buried so deep in your psychology, you don't even know it's running. It's the reason some people command a room the second they walk in, and others are ignored, no matter how loud they shout. It is the invisible ladder that built empires, started wars, and is quietly deciding your life at this very moment. And once you see it, you will never look at human beings the same way again. Today we are climbing all 10 rungs.
Before we dive in, a brief message. At Money Mycelium, our mission is to explore the hidden psychology of money, wealth, and human decision-making through carefully researched cinematic storytelling. Every video represents countless hours of research, writing, editing, and production by a dedicated team. If you appreciate this work and want to help us create more thought-provoking content, please subscribe, like this video, and share it with others who may benefit from it. Your support makes this channel possible. Now, let's uncover the story.
Long before money ever existed, status already did. Imagine a prehistoric campfire 50,000 years ago. Food is scarce. Winter is coming. One hunter gets the largest share of meat. One person speaks, and the entire tribe goes quiet to listen. One person decides where the group moves tomorrow. That person has status. And back then, status wasn't about ego, it was life or death. Anthropologists have noted that nearly every social species develops hierarchies. Chimpanzees form dominance ranks. Wolves establish a pack order. Elephants follow matriarchs. Even chickens have a literal pecking order. We humans inherited that exact same biological survival instinct. But unlike animals, we got creative. We invented thousands of different ways to measure our worth: strength, wealth, beauty, knowledge, fame, power, morality. Over thousands of years, these signals formed what we can now map out as the 10 levels of status. At the absolute bottom of the ladder lies the foundation. Survival. Here, your status is measured by the simplest, heaviest question a human can ask. Will I make it through tomorrow? For most of human history, this was the daily reality for nearly everyone on Earth. Food, clean water, physical safety, shelter from the elements. When your survival is uncertain, higher ambitions simply don't exist. Psychologists call this scarcity thinking. When your brain perceives a threat to basic survival, your focus narrows completely. Long-term planning feels impossible. Stress hormones spike. You live hour by hour. Even today, millions of people around the globe are still fighting at this level. And it reminds us of a humbling truth. You don't climb the ladder of status from the top. It always begins in the dirt. But eventually, something changes. The next meal becomes predictable. Rent gets paid on time. A steady paycheck arrives. For the first time, you get to exhale. The future stops feeling like a threat. This is level 2. Stability. Psychologically, this is one of the most profound transformations a human being can experience. Instead of asking, how do I survive? Your brain begins asking, how do I improve? Savings accounts open. Career paths take shape. You start investing in your health, and your children's education. Your mind starts planning years ahead instead of just days ahead. Entire societies spend generations trying to lift their populations from level 1 to level 2. Why? Because once stability exists, human ambition awakens. And this is where the modern race truly becomes visible to the naked eye. A luxury sports car glides through a city at night. Heads turn. Phones come out. Before anyone even sees the driver's face, a judgment has been made. This is level 3. Material success. Mansions, designer clothing, sports cars, expensive watches, the newest tech. We all know these objects do much more than serve a practical purpose. They broadcast a message. Economists call them positional goods items, valued specifically because they communicate your rank to strangers. 2 handbags might hold the exact same items, but one has a logo that signals high status. The purchase isn't about utility anymore. It's about identity. Advertisers figured this out a century ago. Luxury brands aren't selling you leather, metal, or fabric. They are selling you a feeling. Look at me. I've made it. And millions of people will trade years of their lives just to climb toward that image. But history reveals a cruel catch. When people finally reach material success, they usually hit a wall. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. You quickly adapt to your new lifestyle. The dream car just becomes your ride to the grocery store. The massive house just becomes where you sleep. And suddenly, you look up and realize the ladder extends much, much higher. Here is the secret about the ladder. Once you climb a few steps, the rules quietly change. First, we compete to survive. Then, we compete to accumulate. But eventually, we start competing for something you can't hold in your hands. Respect, admiration, recognition, and that is where the most dangerous game on earth begins. Because unlike money, there is never enough status for everyone to feel superior. Status is strictly relative. If everyone on earth became a millionaire tomorrow, being a millionaire wouldn't impress anyone anymore. If everyone owned a Ferrari, it would just be another car in traffic. The ladder only works because someone is standing above someone else. Which brings us to level 4, social status. Imagine 2 people. The first drives a $300,000 car. The second walks into a crowded room wearing a plain suit, and everyone immediately stands up to greet them. Who has higher status? Throughout history, societies have routinely respected teachers more than wealthy merchants, judges more than entertainers, and spiritual leaders more than kings. Because social status isn't measured by what you own. It's measured by what others believe about you. This is reputation. The invisible currency of civilization. It takes decades to build and 5 seconds to destroy. Today, that reputation is gamified and displayed everywhere for the world to judge. Follower counts, blue verification badges, job titles, university degrees, awards. Every single one is a shortcut, a signal screaming to the brain, this person matters. Our ancestors used to judge reputation inside villages of 100 people. Today, the village is the internet. A teenager in a small bedroom can command more attention in 1 week than ancient emperors received in a lifetime. Never before has status been so public, and never before has it been so fragile. But attention alone doesn't create lasting respect. History quickly forgets people who were merely famous. It remembers people who became indispensable. Imagine 2 surgeons. One is incredibly charismatic, famous on social media, and wears the best suits. The other is quiet, intense, and rarely speaks. But when your life is on the line, which one do you want holding the scalpel? This is level 5. Competence. Competence creates a totally different kind of status. A quieter, heavier one. It doesn't need luxury cars or viral trends. Because results speak louder than aesthetics. Across history, civilizations have always elevated exceptional performers. The engineer who builds the bridge that shouldn't stand. the scientist who finds the cure, the pilot who lands a failing aircraft. Competence earns the hardest currency in the human brain: trust. Psychologists draw a hard line between dominance and prestige. Dominance comes from fear and intimidation. Prestige comes from earned respect. Chimpanzees climb through dominance. Humans rise through prestige. The people with the greatest influence are rarely the loudest ones in the room. They are the ones whose expertise simply becomes undeniable. They don't demand admiration, they attract it. Yet, even mastery isn't the top. Because once you earn the respect and the income, a new question creeps in. If I'm so successful, why am I still waking up to an alarm clock on someone else's schedule? The answer is level 6. True wealth. Most people confuse wealth with spending. But they are exact opposites. A luxury car can be financed. A mansion can be mortgaged. Real wealth is completely invisible. It is measured by something vastly more valuable than possessions. Freedom. The freedom to say no. The freedom to walk away from a toxic job. The freedom to ignore societal trends. The freedom to wake up on a Tuesday morning and spend the day however you choose. This is exactly why many of the world's truly wealthiest people dress so casually. Think about it. They don't need expensive clothes to prove they're successful. The proof is already in their complete autonomy over their time. Ironically, the louder someone advertises their money, the less wealthy they usually appear to people who actually understand financial independence. Because genuine wealth buys the one thing luxury brands can never sell you: silence. But there is a level above financial freedom, a level where money stops being the goal and just becomes a tool. Level 7. Power. Power is one of history's most misunderstood forces. Money allows you to buy a company. Power allows you to reshape an entire industry. Money buys advertisements. Power dictates public opinion. Money hires employees. Power determines the future of millions. History is filled with billionaires who bowed before individuals with greater authority. Corporate executives lobby politicians. Generals reshape borders. Power is the ability to influence reality far beyond your own physical reach. But with that power comes a dark, inevitable trap. The higher someone climbs up this rung, the fewer people tell them the truth. History shows us the exact same tragic cycle repeating over centuries. Leaders rise, they become isolated, they surround themselves with people who agree with them, and they become completely disconnected from reality. Power solves a lot of human problems, but it creates psychological traps that very few escape. At this point, most people assume we've hit the ceiling. Survival, stability, possessions, respect, mastery, wealth, power. Surely, this is where the ladder ends. But history quietly tells another story. Some of the most powerful rulers who ever lived spent their final years desperately chasing something their armies couldn't conquer and their gold couldn't buy. They wanted to be remembered, not just obeyed. Close your eyes and picture the greatest empires ever built. The palaces, the legions, the conquering emperors. Now ask yourself, how many of those rulers can you actually name? Probably only 3 or 4. Now think of the artists, the philosophers, the inventors, the storytellers. Their ideas still live inside your mind today. That is level 8. Cultural status. Power controls people's actions. Culture changes people's minds. An emperor can force obedience, but a writer can shift what generations believe is moral. A musician can unite millions of strangers. A scientist can alter how humanity perceives the universe. Ideas outlive governments. Stories outlive empires. Civilizations are rarely remembered for who ruled them, they are remembered for what they contributed to human consciousness. At this level, status is no longer measured by your fortune. It is measured by your influence across time. But even cultural influence has its limits. Every artist eventually leaves the stage. Every leader gives their final speech. Every entrepreneur signs their last deal. The ultimate question then becomes, what actually remains? Try this thought experiment. Imagine attending your own funeral. Not the formal ceremony, but the quiet conversations happening in the lobby afterward. What would people actually talk about? Would they talk about your salary, the square footage of your house, the model of your car, or would they talk about how you made them feel? The opportunities you created for them, the courage you lent them when they were afraid, the direction you gave their lives. This is the 9th level. Legacy. Some parents leave behind children who break generational cycles of trauma. Some teachers quietly ignite curiosity in students who go on to change the world. Some founders build cultures that support thousands of families for decades. History has a remarkably short memory for what you owned, but it has an incredibly long memory for what you gave. Legacy stops asking, how much did I achieve? And finally asks, how much of me lives on in the people I leave behind? And yet, there is one final rung, a level almost no one sees coming, because it looks absolutely nothing like success, fame, or dominance. It is, perhaps, the greatest paradox in human history. Level 10. Transcendence. Across different continents, across thousands of years, across completely unrelated religions and philosophies, the wisest individuals all arrived at the exact same realization. The ladder never ends. There will always be someone richer, someone smarter, someone more famous, someone more powerful. Comparison is an infinite loop with no finish line, and that is why the most legendary figures in history eventually chose to simply step off the ladder. Not because they failed, but because they beat the game. They realized that the highest possible form of status isn't proving you are superior to anyone else. It is becoming so secure in your own existence that comparison loses its grip on your mind entirely. Instead of asking, how can I be admired? They ask, how can I serve? Instead of hoarding attention, they give attention. Instead of demanding respect, they radiate trust. Instead of trying to look giant, they focus on building up the people around them. This is transcendence, operating completely free from ego. And the beautiful irony of human psychology is that this makes people more respected than ever before. Because we instinctively revere the person who no longer needs our applause. They understand the ultimate secret. Status is temporary, contribution is permanent. Here is the truth about the invisible ladder that rules our lives. It isn't a staircase you climb once and stay at the top. It is a cycle. Every new career shift, every new relationship, every financial boom, and every devastating wipeout places you back on that ladder, often at a completely different rung than before. A billionaire can lose everything overnight. A refugee can build an empire out of nothing. Status is fragile, shifting, and temporary. But character is the only thing that travels with you up and down every single step. Right now, as you watch this, someone out there is buying a more expensive watch just to impress strangers. Someone is refreshing their social feed to count their likes. And somewhere else, a teacher is pouring their heart into a struggling student. A parent is raising an extraordinary child. A creator is building something that will outlive them. They might never go viral. They might never be wealthy. But history has a quiet way of rewarding the right things. Because the true purpose of the ladder was never to look down on the crowd from the top. It was to climb high enough that you could reach back down and lift others up with you. So, I'll leave you with one final question. If every title you hold disappeared tomorrow, if every dollar vanished, if every follower left, and nobody remembered a single possession you owned, who would you still be? Because in the end, the greatest measure of your life isn't what the world sees while you're here. It's what the world continues to feel long after you're gone. The ladder never ends. But you decide what you're climbing for.